My parents were great. Growing up, they instilled in me the importance of imagination, of curiosity, and understanding that, okay, if you want to accomplish something, I'm not just going to sit here and say, yes, you can do whatever you want. Yes, you can, but you have to also put in the work to get there, right? So they taught me that at a really early age, man. And when you grow up as a kid thinking that the world is your oyster, and all things are possible if you put in the work to do it, you grow up having that fundamental belief. You have these ideas about doing something with your life after basketball, but what if today is the day that's it? Now what do you do? So I had all this time sitting there with my Achilles injury and contemplating and thinking, and I said, I better get to work. Because the first question I asked, which is the wrong question, is what's the biggest industry I can get into? And I said, okay, stop thinking of it that way. You're thinking of it the wrong way. Why did you start playing basketball? Because I loved it. All right, what do you love to do? Oh, well, I love to tell stories. All right, let's do that. And then that's where it started for me. And then on top of that, it became things like, you start learning more about the financial industry and about players going broke once they retire, and saying, okay, how can I minimize the chances of that happening? What are things that I can do to invest my money smartly? Also help control some of that outcome to a certain extent.
Right.
You just have to look at it, right? So it's a constant process. It's exciting when you win, it's exciting when you lose, because the process should be exactly the same, whether you win or you lose. As you go back and you look and you find things that you could have done better, you find things that you've done well that worked, you figure out how did they work, why did they work, and how can you make them work again? And but the hardest thing is to face that stuff. That's a really, really tough challenge. I have to aim for something. So I said I want to aim for size. I want to aim for bulk, right? So that's a tangible thing. I'm going to go for that, right? But then also it's my children, because your kids can't see how hard you work. You go to the office, I come in the studio, they don't really see the effort, right? So how can we teach our children what it means to work hard? Well, you do it through training, right? So when I get up in the morning, my daughter goes with me. Through that process, she understands the value of hard work and things taking time. And the same thing with my 12-year-old, right? She practices every day, right? And so it's through those behaviors is where I find the motivation to do it. I think I would describe love as happiness. I think I'd describe it as a beautiful journey. It has its ups and downs, right? Whether it's in marriage or whether it's in a career. Things are never perfect, but through love, you continue to persevere and you move through them. And then through that storm, a beautiful sun emerges, right? And inevitably another storm comes. And guess what? You ride that one out too. So I think love is a certain determination and persistence to go through the good times and the bad times with the someone or something that you truly love. And process is really about the process of preparing, through injury, recovery, studying of the game. And then the craft is the actual performance and the tactics. And so a lot of things that I learned through the game were through photos. You can look at a photo and see like a player making a move, look at the angle of his feet, look how he's using his hands on defense, and I can really break down things to the smallest detail through that. And that's the best way to understand how to have that kind of mentality, is to ask questions and then find answers, and then that lead to more questions and you find more answers. I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness. Lesson 1, get an additional 30 minutes of sleep a night. Take it as a challenge, try to find that space, quiet your mind, and get your 30 minutes of sleep. And you'll see it makes a really, really big difference. My sleep habits were horrendous, to say the least. I mean, I've always had a hard time sleeping. I couldn't figure out how to shut my brain off. So what made the light bulb come on is that I went out there and played a game, and I played like crap. I was like, why am I playing like crap? Because I've been practicing these same moves over and over and over. yet I couldn't execute them properly. I was feeling sluggish, I was feeling lethargic, and I knew it wasn't because of my training, because I had trained obsessively. So then I started looking at other things, and that's when I came to the realization that, hey, Kobe, you're not 21 years old anymore, buddy. Like, maybe the fact that you're sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night, maybe that has something to do with the fact that you're playing like crap. And that's when I started really evaluating those things. And I'd say lesson 2 would be just 5 minutes of quiet time. 5 minutes for you to be mindful and to just sit and find that inner voice and just kind of listen to the self. And preferably would be in the morning as you start your day. I meditate every day. And I do it in the mornings, and I do it for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I think it's important because it sets me up for the rest of the day. You know, it helps me. It's like having an anchor. You know, if I don't do it, I feel like I'm constantly chasing the day, as opposed to being able to be controlled and dictate the day. Not that you're calling the shots on what comes forward, but the fact that I am set and ready for whatever may come my way. You know, I have a calmness about whatever comes my way and a poise, and that comes from starting the morning off with meditation. For me, it's really just listening to my inner self. I mean, that's basically it. Like you sit in silence and you just allow these thoughts to come forward, and you get a chance to observe the self and things that may be lying beneath the surface that if you don't have that time to sit quietly on your own, you'll never pay attention to. Because if you think about it, like, the reality is we're paying attention to so many things that are going on around us. We're constantly taking selfies, we're constantly taking pictures to post on Instagram and all these other things, and we're constantly observing everything that's around us, but we don't take the time to really observe what's going on inside of ourselves. And that's what meditation is for me. In 2000, we had a new head coach that came to the Los Angeles Lakers by the name of Phil Jackson. And Phil was just coming off of winning 6 championships with the Bulls. And he was really big on mindfulness and really big on meditation. And it wasn't an option for us. So we'd sit in our film room and he'd turn the lights out and we would meditate as a group. And he'd teach us mindfulness. And it really connected with me because he was teaching mindfulness through something that I was extremely passionate about, which was the game of basketball. So it was told through the lens of, this is going to help you here. And so I had this curiosity about it. And that was my introduction to meditation. And then seeing the poise that we played with, the fact that we can be in a hostile environment with fans yelling and screaming and pressure situations, and it having no effect on us because we were never too high, never too low. We were just in the moment and felt very secure in who we were. And that was my introduction to meditation. I had a great experience, which really I learned a lot about meditation through this experience. I was on a jet ski, and I took the jet ski out in the ocean, and I just kind of sat, and I just let the current just take me wherever it was going to take me. And I really saw a lot of meditation through that moment because I wasn't trying to control the moment. I wasn't trying to force myself upon the waves and dictate where I was going to go. I just let the waves take me.